All right, tonight on Serious and Silliness, we have adult entertainer and bodybuilder fitness enthusiast Brandi Mae. What's up, Brandi?
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Oh, are you kidding? Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. So this
Sure.
is this is your first time on, so I want to start from the beginning. But before we get started, um, before we jump to like how you got into bodybuilding and adult industry and so on and so forth, um, I've only known you from Instagram and
Okay.
some of the I guess you could call it fetish stuff that you do, right?
Yeah.
Quickly summarize before we get into the full interview
Okay.
how far you've gone in the adult industry.
How far I've got? Well, okay. I've been technically an adult entertainer for over 12 years, easy. I
Okay.
mean, I've been nominated for an AVN in 2019 for a
Really?
movie. Yeah, for
Well,
Girls of Wrestling, Sweetheart Video. So
uh-huh.
yeah, I think for being an independent like adult entertainer talent, that's pretty like I don't think there's many. I think Brandy Love maybe might be. I think I had heard somebody say she's the only like independent adult entertainer that's ever been nominated for an AVN. And what that means is as in the adult entertainment world, you never had an agent, never had a manager. It means you've
Mm,
always just been independent. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. It's not something I really boast. I used to kind of post it like all on my Instagram, but since they got more restrictive with, took all that stuff like off. But yeah, it's pretty cool to be like a bodybuilder and have been nominated for, an adult world award. I think it's,
yeah, yeah,
pretty kick ass.
yeah. No, and I agree, and I think you seem very humble, which is a tribute to your character, right?
Oh, thank you.
But the thing is, I respect somebody who embraces the world that they're in. So
Yeah.
somebody like you or Sarah J, like we discussed beforehand that I had her on, Nikki Jackson, they basically embraced the world and they said, "This is me, and I'm going to make a living at it." And they've done it for years and years, and they've made great successes at it. I don't really respect the girls that go, "Oh, that was I hated doing it," and they start crying on their own podcast, and you know exactly who I'm talking about, and
Yeah.
that just annoys the shit out of me because you know you're full of shit.
Yeah.
They're so
Yeah.
full of shit.
No, if anybody's known like people to be hypocritical, if anybody knows it's me. Because I've done adult before, really it was especially being a muscular, hyper muscular woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did it before it was like mainstream the way it is today with, fan platforms.
Right.
So yeah, I know a lot of girl. Especially in the bodybuilding. I hate to say that, but in the bodybuilding community, it's the worst of the hypocrisy of I'm going to do it behind closed doors, but I'm going to, the
Right.
judgment, the self righteousness. So yeah, if anybody's like heard it all and known about it, and people have said it about me, it's me. I know because I've had companies I went and worked for, and then the woman, people representing them are, oh, don't say that Brandy. It's just ridiculous. It's just that, yeah. So I know how exactly what you mean. I've always stayed in my own world, but I've always, life itself will make you humble, right? Some of us just that's just the way our life and
Right.
circumstances are. So yeah, for me, I've just kind of stayed in my own world. But yeah, I've always had to be humble. Life's made me humble, and I'm thankful for it. I've seen some of these other people, and it's yeah,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little bit
yeah.
too much, too
Yeah,
much.
it's very hypocritical, and it's like just own it,
Mm-hmm.
just own it. The
Mm-hmm.
most you could say is, "Hey, look, if you know, if you truly felt that you made a mistake, then you say, "Hey, listen, I was young, I made decisions that I regret, but I no longer do that." But to cry and say, "Play the victim," it's like get the fuck out of here.
Well, the big thing that I thought was funny early on nowadays, it's definitely not even a case at all, but like early on in the female bodybuilding, like, sex genre, when I got into it, there was honestly, and this is real fact, like when I got into it, there was literally maybe a handful of female bodybuilders that shot hardcore boy girl
Right?
adult content.
Yes. Yes.
Literally a handful. And so that was the big talk about when I first started was, well, these girls were doing girl. It was they were more, higher than they looked down on me or the women who did the hard. I mean, it was so ridiculous because sex is sex, porn is porn. Some of them, don't consider themselves porn stars, and they've had a career of maybe over 5+ years doing girl.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird, it's a whole different thing because there are female on female porn stars too. So to each their own, but that was a big judgment that I got early on, was like the hardcore male penis integration into my content was just like, you whore, like we all, spit on you, shame. And that was a big thing too, is I received a lot of shame, backlash, ridicule, people around me, my friends. I lost friends that I had made in the female bodybuilding community through projects that were non-adult related. And yeah, I mean, you see people's true colors. Now it's way more acceptable. There were so many women and female I mean, hell, these female fitness is like taking over the content platforms. If anything,
no, absolutely. Like it really
that's a huge thing. So, but yeah, I've seen it full circle, but I just smile and you'd be like, instead, I could easily have a huge chip on my shoulder and, walk around like, fuck all y'all or whatever. But, nah, not me.
No, I'm glad that you actually are like that. And the majority of the women that I've actually interviewed were really sweethearts, whether they were bodybuilders and had other careers besides adult entertainment, or whether they were just adult entertainers. And also, and I think there's probably a correlation with age.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. The young girls usually think that their shit don't stink.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. I mean, I turned 40 just this year. And
really?
I did. I turned 40 and I'm proud of it. Like I'm all over my Instagram with like talking about my age, and especially now because I'm, through COVID and stuff, kind of lost a lot of mass as a female bodybuilder. And so I had went through some, physical, like digestive things, and everybody knows, food's important, and being healthy, being able to train, obviously, to keep mass,
Right.
So I'm just now back to a healthy place where I'm putting mass back on, and I'm like, hey, I'm 40. Look, you can still do it. So yeah, I'm all about talking about my age. I mean, because I am proud, like, but yeah, you're right. I notice a lot of the younger, but then, the trade-off, I will say this though, too. I've had younger girls, maybe 10 years younger than me, actually be really helpful in certain elements with the networking and stuff, surprisingly so than I would have. So it's also taught me in that humble way to, still be open to like the younger, but majority of them like have a big diva mentality, and women as we get older, we appreciate the compliments and the perverts and the gawking. And no, I mean, it's true. We like the attention and we're more open to it as we get older.
Well, see, we're 10 minutes into the interview and I already respect you because of your honesty, because a lot of girls would not admit that. A lot of Instagram girls put 100 pictures of themselves on Instagram and say they hate the attention, and it's like, really, bitch, really?
No, for sure. No, what it is a lot of it is women. No, this is the truth. A lot of women want the attention from who they want the attention from, or they want the comments from the right person, and it's like, if it's not this person or that guy looking at me in the gym, but no, I mean, my life has been way too much for me to like be even sucked into like that attention bullshit. I mean? Like, social media, I've, 5 accounts in, I am. So like, I've gone through the phases of like, oh my God, I've got to be famous and have my reality show. I'm 15 years into my career. So that was like early on, now I'm like, just trying to work, make money, embrace my muscle MILF, career, and do it while I can,
as you should
for 20 more years.
and you will, because as far as I'm concerned, if you embrace it, you'll be successful at it. So
yeah, for sure.
So let's start from the beginning. Where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
Sure. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. My childhood was, I mean, look, hindsight now, you look and the world is awful. It could have been worse. My grandmother raised me. I didn't have a mother or father around, or raised me partially until I was my early teens. And then I really just didn't have much supervision or anybody around after that. I was a teen mom. I dropped out of high school, had a child at 16. But the this was 20 plus years, over 20 years ago. The economy was different. This was before 2000s. So right on my 18th birthday, I got a job at Hooters. Before then, it was rough because I was on my own raising a child. Under 18, you can't really get a job. I got a job at Hooters on my 18th birthday. And luckily, even then I was, I made enough money to like be able to support myself and a child. And ironically, the story of Hooters into my bodybuilding was that I actually was into weightlifting and stuff as a kid, but the diet, I wasn't, I didn't know. But so working at Hooters, I ate a lot of Hooters food, gained weight, not in a good, healthy way to their liking, and I actually was kind of let go due to my weight.
Really?
So that's actually when I became aware of like diet and nutrition and started looking at the, health. Well, from aesthetics, not really health internally, but from aesthetics, bodybuilding, competitive at that point. So that kind of was a bigger catalyst to kind of get more into competing and the aesthetic look of like fitness model. So and then from there, I just, I honestly, I've always been kind of like a corporate. I know it seems weird, but like I waited tables. I got into like real estate kind of young and learning. And I've always been very business oriented minded, like, and very entrepreneurial. People would never know that about me, but I've done a lot of entrepreneurial things in my life. And I went back to college. I got a bachelor's degree in business marketing early on in my 20s. And then around mid 20s, I got into the fitness modeling, fetish modeling, did a few things for like HBO and interviews and stuff. And then right after there, I just got into producing content. I saw a niche in the hardcore adult muscle genre. There wasn't any women doing it. I knew the money that some of these producers and companies in the muscle genre were making. I was networking, and I just decided to start kind of producing. I was in my mid 20s, and I mean, I'm 40 now. So like, I've just been entrepreneurial, adult, independent, really content creator, producer. And so that's just, to really give you like the sum of it. That's, like.
So as far as the bodybuilding fitness go, did you ever compete in the NPC or did you ever turn pro? Whatever?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did a good about 10 years of competing in the NPC as a female bodybuilder. When I was really early on, I mean, hell, I was 18, 19. I tried to do like the figure bikini stuff. I just was too thick, short, stocky, stature wise. Right. So I decided to do bodybuilding. I was lucky. I moved to Vegas, about 15 years ago too, from Dallas, Texas, right when the first recession happened. I know we're in the second, but our generation we've been through 2 recessions now. So I relocated to
three,
Vegas.
if you remember the early 90s.
I don't know. I was still maybe a little. I don't remember that one, but I mean, I grew up, in the 90s. It was rough, so maybe growing up in it, but So I mean, being in Vegas, NPC, they would have the USA's bodybuilding championship.
They still do,
like once a year. Yeah. So, but back then, you could like compete. I don't know. The female bodybuilding sport was like dying off, and there was just kind of this really weird gray area where for a while you could just kind of like compete on this national level, and if you qualified, you could just. So I just kind of stayed in that like circle for about 10 years of just kind of competing, and I was like a middle heavyweight for a while. I got pretty big. I was about 160 at 5 foot. Wow. Which is pretty good mass. But my problem was like, my system would always kind of shut down like the month before with all the additional supplements. So then I could never get shredded enough. I could never, I just couldn't get hard enough. And competing against girls that were bigger, I was 142 maybe on stage, 160 off season. So the girls were still bigger than me. So I just never really could play. I never turned pro. I could never place really, really well, or, and I never really had the desire after that to like go to like the Wings of Strength and try to pursue it. I've always just been about making money, and I still find a way to like use my muscle to make money and not like be exploited by just wearing myself out in another way. So, I just did the best I could to, keep my niche going. But at some point I just kind of stopped competing. It got too tiresome and taxing on me physically, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I went through the same thing. I mean, where I did a bunch of NPC shows, and on the local level, I could win. And then on the national level, I never did a national level show, but every time I went to a national show to see, I knew I would get my ass handed to me. I'm like, I'm not going to waste all my time and money and, and possible health to I remember I won the Brooklyn Grand Prix, and I had won 3 overalls locally in a row.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do the national level show. So I go to Team Universe, and I was checking out Team Universe. And that year, I don't know if you know who he is, John Meadows won the overall and turned pro. And he has since passed. But I remember looking at him and going, I'll never be able to achieve that. There's no way in hell I'm going to be able to look like that. And that was the day I went home, and I was like, I told my wife, I'm like, oh, I'm done. This is ridiculous. I'm never going to look like this. I'm like,
what I found, what the funny thing I didn't realize about myself, though, I learned through bodybuilding, was that and this is really ironic considering the work I do and the comfortability I have on camera, but I have horrible stage fright.
Really?
And I didn't, I just never really realized that. And every year I would just try to push through. But then it got to the point where, I wasn't even almost doing my routine or whatever, because but like I didn't really realize it. But there were a few times I would do routines. And then, as a woman, or I'm sure the guys do too, but you go through all this, you even pay people to help you with your routine, especially because you want to be sexy and graceful. And then to do all that and spend the money and then just kind of freeze. And it would happen the next, I would think, okay, I'm going to know my routine better and look better, be more confident, sexier. And I'd see people and I would freeze. It was so bizarre. And you probably you need therapy for, but I'm not going to deal with it because it's I'm not going to be on stage. I don't care, whatever.
Yeah, well, you got to come to sooner or later, you got to come to a realization. Exactly, and you got to go, which way do I want to chase this dream that's just not going to work? Or do I just change now? And then that's the realization you have to come to. Okay, so tell me about the first time you did some kind of adult entertainment for profit.
Okay. Adult entertainment.
Or how did you actually get into it? So because you were waiting tables and you were working at Hooters and you were into bodybuilding. When did you make the transition? Sure.
I was competing. And then I probably started going to this little gym in Dallas. You get into a little community. Mm-hmm. So then I found a trainer, and then I started and then I think I trained with Kim Odo, was one of the first big coaches, and he had these teams. So then, I was getting into the community, and then I started with fitness modeling with Dan Ray. I don't know if Dan Ray. And then I got turned on to her biceps cam. So I was slowly, doing the fitness modeling, and, as a person who didn't have a lot of parental upbringing anyway, right? I was even on my own, doing Polaroids, as a young, right? If I'm honest. So to do fitness modeling and transition to webcamming and stuff was super easy for me. I mean, so easy, right? So when it's easy, that natural for you, it's just, you kind of just network. So then once I relocated to Las Vegas was when I was able to get into more fetish producers. And then I started kind of working with muscle fetish producers, particularly, I will say Muscle Pinups and Robert Messino, and Denise Messino. And,
sure.
They were some of the first, people that I spoke with that really kind of motivated me when I kind of realized some of the money that their DVDs were making when they transitioned to, from their magazine. So even just hearing a little bit of what some of these girls were making on DVDs, I was just oh my God. So yeah, I mean, sure enough, I went out and bought equipment, and I just started producing content. I made a DVD, and then I started clips for sale. So that was the first easiest way to distribute content independently. as a producer. And then, I started trying to make DVDs. But yeah, that was like when the internet had like that type of like, we can independently download our content and people can view it type of, platform came about. And, so that was a big catalyst, because for an independent producer, it didn't cost as much as it did back in the day to kind of go to these expos, take all your DVDs and da da da. So yeah, that was like the rise of like the independent fetish producers. And I mean, yeah, that was literally probably the first time to actually do it independently for profit, aside just being like a fetish model or flexing for, her biceps cam. But yeah, I mean, the internet, I'm thankful for the days of, technology for sure.
It definitely did. So what kind of content, when you first did this, what kind of content was it actually?
The first type of content I did was, I mean, I really kind of just came out the gate with shooting like a lot of solo stuff, a lot of like masturbation, flexing, a lot of big clit. And the big one for me was the hardcore interracial muscle bodybuilder porn. And, that was with a partner of mine then. He was a big, big black guy. And that was like not ever seen that I would, you would see a 20-something-year-old, hard shredded. And then there were other talents out there like Zeb Atlas and, that were really big muscular guys, muscular on the scene, popular and this very like ambiguous kind of fetishy, but hardcore, world, And so, I mean, I networked with people like him and some other big starlets at the time, like Devin Michaels, these like fitness stars, Jules Jade. And then, I mean, I just started snowballing and, just kind of started working and producing.
So you jumped right
content.
in. You jumped right into the deep end.
Oh, hell yeah. No, I did.
There was no slippery slope. You jumped right into the deep end.
I remember I actually, I have a son. He's 23, almost 24 now. But one thing I did do when you talk about career and like really owning something, I actually had the decency to call my son's father of all people, which is so bizarre. But I was just like, hey, I just kind of want to let you know, like, this is the path I'm taking. This is the career, like, and, hopefully nothing backlash. You shouldn't receive any, we're not tied really, but, and, everything's been great, but yeah, it was real ironic. I just had this weird need of all the random people to call like him and like, tell him respectfully.
I mean, yeah, exactly. If he's a good dad, then he deserves it.
No, he totally is. Oh,
so then he deserves it. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
That again, that shows the character of yourself. I'm not going to lie. If I had a daughter or a sister, I wouldn't want her to go into the adult entertainment world. I wouldn't.
Sure. Exactly.
I wouldn't want her to.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to lie, and I do believe the slippery slope. And then,
well, yeah, I wouldn't either.
Right. But if you are going to do it, I think that like the respect you gave your ex is needed. And I think you probably had to tell the majority of your family members and present it and say, hey, look, this is my decision. I'm a grown woman now, so on and so forth. And embracing it, like I said, can give some people respect. Some people respect you for it, So you jumped right in to
I did.
hardcore.
Yeah.
So here is a question that I just popped in my head, and
sure.
I've interviewed Sarah J, and I did not ask her this question because she started off doing interracial because she actually told me the reason why she does so much interracial is because when she first broke into the scene, they weren't looking for thick white women.
Wow.
In the late 90s, everything was thin with big fake boobs, the Pam Anderson look, and so on. And that's not what she fit. She's very thick and she's very curvy. So the only ones hiring that type were the black production studios.
Yeah.
So that's where she went. What I didn't ask her, and I'm going to ask you, and only if you take note of it. I don't know if you do.
Sure.
Obviously, mostly men watch adult entertainment, but what type of viewers, when you get the interracial porn, when it comes to white women and black guys, do mostly white guys enjoy the content or black guys, or it's even?
I would I would probably say I want to say it's about even. But at the same time, I think a lot of majority probably there's a huge cuck fetish.
Yeah.
There's a huge interracial fetish. But then I do believe that black guys at the same time enjoy saying, their own, a black guy and a black cock with a white woman as well, especially more so like nowadays. So I would say it's pretty, but I could totally get why she would have went that direction because she's got a nice juicy.
Yeah, no, she's very good. Today,
Yeah.
it would have been a different story if she broke into the world today. Different story. Everything is thick and the big butt and the big big boobs were always big. But
see, like for me, I did like when I started networking, I actually did hire or look for an agent. And I was actually told that I would never I would never be able to get work. Like, so that's why like I decided personally to like take my assets and my resources and just like do my own thing. And that's why I think I've just done so many different fetishes, because it's like I just went through these little phases of like what I was going to try for a while and it worked. And I think that way I consider myself like an all around performer. I kind of fit it all and do it all. And which, I mean, I enjoy.
we're going to
kind of my person.
We're definitely going to get to the fetishes and what you enjoy. But I would agree with you that it's 50-50 when it comes to the interracial porn and who enjoys it, the white guys or the black guys. But I think you see those 2 degrees up there, that's psychology. But I work in the sewer for New York City, so it doesn't. The only thing it helps is this fucking podcast. But anyway, I think they enjoy it for 2 different reasons. I think the white guys enjoy it. Oh, the white guys that enjoy that content, I think enjoy it because, like you said, there was a huge fetish for cuckolding.
Yeah.
And the bull sometimes is always a black guy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So people who don't know what the bull is, or cuckold, why don't you explain it? You'll explain it better than me.
Sure. I mean, generally speaking, the cuckold is usually, from my perspective, they say like a submissive guy or like a husband type, and he basically likes, I mean, it varies. That's what I always like to be clear. There's so many little variations, right? But majority, he likes to maybe see his wife or his girlfriend, basically banged out by most of the time it's a black bull, a big guy, usually muscular, big cock, and sometimes. Now I can get into the intricacies of cuckolding and
sometimes it's sometimes it's the husband or the submissive guy likes to be shamed, or not shamed, but what's the word?
Or finish it off. Sometimes he likes sometimes he likes to finish it off.
Yeah, it's like it's like it's what do you call it? What's the word when you put somebody down?
Degraded, humiliated,
right. It's degraded, humiliated, right?
Yeah, so then it varies into like the domination and the femdom. See, so it's like,
well, then it spreads out.
It all just kind of.
But I think the black guys enjoy the black with the white girls, black guys with the white girls, because I think in the black community, not so much anymore. It's getting more popular. But it's the white girl to the black guy is the forbidden fruit.
Yeah, right? For sure.
Right? I mean, it's really, there is so many interracial couples now that I see, but in the past, like it's only been in like the last, I'd say 10, 12 years, really, really.
But the internet really has though. And I read a bunch of books and did a bunch of research on it as well. And like the internet itself, and obviously we know the free tube sites, but like the internet itself went through phases of like what people, and of course the interracial, but like, is a big one. But now like I've experienced this personally, especially with like the rise a couple of years of like the platforms and the fan sites with all these, creators shooting together, man, there were like, have always been a very good amount of like black male talent available. You know what I mean? So like there are a lot of that content being shot. And I think I'm not going to say the market's saturated, but we're like peaking it.
Well, I
It's
think
not. So it's it's like it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely saturated with more men now, because of medication and the trimix injection and Viagra, Cialis. Because if you remember when we were young, because I'm only a little bit older than you, I'm 46.
Oh, nice. Oh.
But I remember I grew up in Brooklyn. I live in New Jersey now, right? But I remember there was this place on 3rd Avenue in Brooklyn, and it was the Triple X Warehouse, and everybody went there to buy DVDs. So me and my friends used to go there like when we were 17, 18 years old, right? And it was the same 5 guys in every porno, no matter what porno it was, right? It was the same fucking 5 guys in every one of them. Now you can't keep count because, like I said, between Viagra, Cialis, the injection.
Yeah.
I think the injection is very popular actually because it's immediate.
Well, when I mean, like I said, I've been in the industry for a while too. And even I've seen how the industry, I mean, I knew like when I first got in, there were big companies and they had their contracts.
Right.
You know, they did have their contract stars and then they would kind of cycle in girls, but they, especially their male, were really contract. But that's what I'm saying. Like the rise of these platforms just created like this weird, bizarre, like everybody, there were really no such thing as like porn stars anymore, kind of.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of just kind of spaced it all out. But yeah, I mean,
you know what, that's actually a very good point. The porn star, as well as the Hollywood superstar, has completely phased out, right? Because there's really no huge porn star anymore. And there's no like Hollywood superstars anymore. And it's probably due to the social media, so on and so forth, the Instagram,
and the integration,
and the internet. And that's actually a really, really good point. I did not realize that it affected the adult entertainment industry that way.
Oh yeah, because I mean, like I've had a few conversations lately about this with my, you know, me being an independent, obviously talent, seeing the industry change and having to adapt from a business, you know, platform. But yeah, I mean, there's like the whole, like back when Napster came about, here's a good example, you know, that changed the music industry. I mean, these platforms have essentially changed the adult industry. There's a lot of girls now that are either retiring and they're doing something. I mean, I do live in Vegas. I see a lot of porn stars that are featured dancing, you know, I mean, obviously there's a lot of, you know, outside, you know, activity going on as well. But yeah, no, I could say that it's really changed. Probably the porn industry has been fundamentally shooken up by these platforms now. So
no, yeah, absolutely. And the way to break into the adult entertainment industry is different now than it was 20, 30 years ago, right?
I couldn't even I mean, I don't, like I said, I've always gone my own direction in this whole, you know, adult genre. I mean, I just started shooting, I started producing, I started networking, working with big name people. And then I just kept doing, and that's how I built any kind of name for myself. But I mean, I think 20 years ago, they actually used to have contracts, and the stars actually used to have like 5 to 10 year. I mean, they could have lengthy contracts, just like Hollywood stars fit in the, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a whole different ballgame now. Hell, the pay's not even there.
Right. Yeah, no, it happens to be true. But I interviewed Alexis Golden, Sarah J., Nikki Jackson, as far as adult entertainers. You're the only adult entertainer that told me you didn't break into the industry by dancing. The other 3 said I started off dancing. But today, that's not the case. Today, it's Instagram and OnlyFans and webcamming and so on and so forth.
No, my dancing story, let me tell you real quick.
Okay.
Moving from Dallas to Vegas, funny story. I contemplated the dancing. I even did Muay Thai fighting. I kind of contemplated that from like a business, like how to make money, right? I got to make a living. But no, I took dancing classes for a while, pole dancing classes out here. And I went and I got a job at Sapphires, which is the biggest strip club. Big mistake. So I had like a 2 a.m. shift. They give you like, they don't care. You're like 2 a.m. to whatever. So literally one of my first shifts, I go in, it's uncomfortable. My stage fright kicks in, right? So I freeze. I literally walk around the pole a few times, awkward as hell. You know, I go off. My very first lap dance was a very heavy set guy. He tries to stick his thumb in my ass without tipping me. I was so
you're like mortified.
And let me tell you talk about like my catalyst into making production it was actually that night, because him doing that and me not getting tipped. It was 2 a.m. I'm a bodybuilder. I like to go to bed early, get up early.
Yes.
It was not for me. I knew that day I was gonna focus on production, and that was where I focused my energy. Because if you're 20 something and you're in Vegas and you can't dance, me being muscular, I couldn't get jobs at the cocktailing. I had tried blackjack dealing, got cut from that because guys were wanting me to flex my biceps and arm wrestle at the blackjack table. So like all those things happen when you're in your like mid 20s, you know, and you're like, hell yeah, I'm going to produce some muscle porn.
Right. Well, I'll let you in on a, well, it's not really much of a secret. Now that I have a podcast, kind of whoever watches knows, I was always attracted to muscular women. Right. But like when I see girls in the gym that would be really muscular, because I was always into bodybuilding and so on and so forth. This is like the smallest I've ever been, but I'm 46 years old, right? But they were never interested in me. Never. And I think I figured out why, to be honest with you. I think I figured out why. And I'm just going to take a bold statement and say, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you were in the bodybuilding world. When girls are into the fitness and they're really into competing and so on and so forth, everything revolves around them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in general, well, not only girls, the girls and the guys, everything revolves around them. Their career, obviously, if they're working, most of the time it's, you know, personal training or so on and so forth, or working out, the food, the sleep, like you said, you know, everything is very regimented.
For sure.
And in order for them to date a guy, that guy has to get on their program.
Definitely.
Right. They can't have a guy that goes, no, you've got to get on my program. And I think after one conversation having with me, I think you could figure out I'm not getting on anybody's program.
Yeah. No, I could tell.
Because how many times have you seen, like when you competed, you've seen girls backstage getting ready for a contest, and there's their boyfriend holding the mirror, carrying the bag, right? Putting the peanut butter on the friggin' on the rice cake, right?
Yeah.
When I was doing it, my wife, well, now my wife, it was my girlfriend at the time, she was doing that for me, right? She was putting it to shit, and that wouldn't work with girls that were really into fitness and working out. But I was always physically attracted. Still to this day, I see a girl in the gym, and they'll look like you, and I'm still very attracted to them. But they would never, ever, ever. And I think that's because of my upbringing was always I come from a very masculine Brooklyn dominant, kind of like my older brothers, my father, my grandfather they were very rough guys, you know. I'm like the chillest one out of all of them, you know. Anyway, okay. Fetishes. What types of fetishes have you done? And you could start from like, you know, mild all the way up to whatever freaky shit you did.
Well, I mean, really, it would be like, what haven't I done? What haven't I done?
That's a short list.
I mean, yeah, it is. And that would be anal, probably is one of the biggest.
Okay.
Like I've done anal, like play and anal.
Why is that? Toys, why is a lot of girls want to stay away from that?
I mean, it's painful. Let's be honest. And let me say, I will say this as a fitness. This is what I feel. Like when I was younger, I was very kinky, promiscuous, had fun. Now that I'm a bodybuilder with the muscle and everything being tighter, and I'm not, you know, like it's just more painful because it's so much tighter. Yeah. So like, I mean, even me being, you know, in my 40 now, I'm like, I'm a MILF. Like I need to maybe get this anal thing kind of like worked out. Maybe I could be really lucrative. I mean, no, that's a legit, like, you know, that is the shit I think. Yeah. I'm like, hey, but it's like, you know, but so that's probably the biggest fetish I've never done like anal penetration. And, you know, I'm like, I don't know if I can ever commit to doing it. But as far as everything, I've really probably done all types of other fetishes except like extreme bondage where I'm like just for 5 hours or something. I've never done like that kink.com.
So give us an example, a person who's not a fan of yours or hasn't seen your content.
Okay.
Just give us a rundown of what kind of fetishes you've done. I mean, if you forget anything, I don't give a shit, but you know.
I mean, we could start simple stuff, obviously. Muscle, I mean, as silly, as stupid as it sounds, it's
still
not like the the muscle fetish, the flexing. Surprisingly, biceps alone, like biceps, are a huge turn on. I can really sit on cam and like even do custom videos with just biceps, no nudity. And it's a big like thing, guys love the biceps. So like I have that benefit of having those extra added elements that I can use as an entertainer. And I really have, but you know, like, I mean, stuff, spanking, scissors, feet, you know, get into a little bit more extreme with like the fendom stuff, you know, like the degrading humiliation. So that's where I veered a lot in the fetish was like me being more of a fendom dominatrix, putting on the strap on and big giant dick and, you know, talking shit, you know. So when, you know, then you get,
I don't mean to laugh, but it's pretty funny.
It's funny, of course. And then you get more hardcore is like pegging, right? Where you're doing guys in the ass now on film. So it's like I went from like, okay, I'm gonna just do some conventional hardcore to like totally doing the whole gambit of like being a whole dominatrix. So I've
So when you did the regular hardcore stuff, it was always one-on-one, you and a guy, or you've done different types of things like that?
Let's see, me and a guy. I've done, I mean, you know, threesomes. Have I done any? I did a group. No, my sweetheart video was a group. That was a group sex scene. It was an all girl group. So, I mean, no, I've done pretty, you know, I mean, I haven't done like gangbangs. I don't think I'd ever do. I wouldn't do a gangbang. I have to say.
But when you did threesome, it was two guys or just two girls and a guy, or both?
I've done one threesome with two guys. It was more of like I was kind of fucking one and dominating the other kind of thing. So it was a different twist on it.
Yeah, it's kind of I'm really...
lying. You know what? I'm totally lying. See, I'm totally lying. That's so long. I've been in it so long.
You're forgetting shit.
I did a why not buy or who not buy. So it's this bisexual site. So it was like me with two bisexual guys in a big threesome. Well, they were trying it out. That was Mind Geek was trying out a genre, and you know, they hired me. I went for it, but so I'm telling you, I'm like,
I try to
a lot of shit.
I try to bury my reaction when I hear bi guys or gay guys. I try to bury the reaction because I have friends that are gay and I really don't care about it. But when I picture the image, that reaction of right, it just always comes out. So real funny. I work in New York City, right? I live in New Jersey now. Like I said, I grew up in Brooklyn, but I work in New York City because it's the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, which is it's a city agency. So you work in New York City. So I leave work and there's private parking. I don't know if you've ever been to New York City. Most people have to take public transportation like trains or buses or whatnot, but we have the ability of have private parking so we could drive into work. So I'm driving and I'm turning the corner and I got to get on the Henry Hudson Highway. And this guy's walking in front of me, right? And he's staring at me. And at first, as a guy, I'm like, what the fuck's this guy staring at? Right? Like, that's but then I'm like, oh, he's staring.
Oh.
Yeah. And he went like this. He put his finger on his tongue when he looked at me. And I immediately, if my window was rolled down, it was up, he would have heard, ugh. Because that was my immediate reaction. And then and God is my witness. And once I got onto the highway, my reaction turned to, at least I still got it.
I know. Yeah. Once you think about it, you're like, well, hey, someone's checking me out. It's like, hey, for sure. No, I totally get it. No, for sure.
Okay. So back to you. What do you enjoy the most? Like what is it that you go in and you go, oh, today is going to be a great day? What do you love?
I think at this point, I really do love probably more of, and I hate to sound so cliche with like the girl power, element that we're in now, but like, I really do like the dominate. I do like the domination with certain certain people, and it really is based on it's really the person you're with. I mean, completely. So like, but I liked like the domination and like the guys to be like really submissive and like kind of do what I say. And even just that, like I just want to be in total control.
Okay.
And then that tends to kind of really kind of turn me on in this weird way. Like once I kind of know, hey, he's gonna like give it, and then I start to really enjoy myself. It could be in any kind of little weird fetish. Isn't that weird? It's the control element and then the dynamic between me and that person. So yeah, I'm very much like a, what is it, a sophiosexual? Like for me personally, like it's all a mind kind of thing for me, especially 15 years doing all these different crazy fetishes and all this stuff. You know, at this point, it's more of like the control and power and stuff that personally kind of gets me, you know, hot and bothered.
Now, so there's obviously that picture on your Instagram of the guy licking your armpit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where I was, which when you really think about it, isn't really much worse than giving a girl, going down on a girl, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, well, that's really popular though. The armpit thing is really popular amongst the guy fans. And that's why I think so many women, even like you see a lot of the fitness women where I do, like they grow their armpit hair out. I don't know. You probably don't see it, but it's because I think they get requests, like custom video requests. And so it's just, the armpit thing, even when I don't try, people comment on my armpits, on my pictures, like, ooh, your armpit looks good, or ooh, I like the deodorant stain. I'm like, ooh. Like, no, because I'm real conscious about sweating and smells. I'm like,
you know what it is? I think you're in that world, and it seems like it's a lot of people, but you're just in that world.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's just the people that respond. Yeah, it's,
you know, I think the majority of guys really aren't into armpit licking, right?
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of like
I'm a little warped. My perception's warped.
It's kind of like a narcotics cop. Like if you talk to a narcotics cop, he's going to say there's drugs everywhere, but then you go, really? I don't see any drugs.
Yeah.
But he's in the thick of things all the time. So right.
So for him, it is his world, right?
So I think that's the case, but it's still alive and well and still profitable for you. So it's a good thing for you, obviously.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. So that is what you, okay. Here's a good question. Here's a more of a psychology question. Do you do the submissive stuff in your private life? Like if you're dating somebody, or do you prefer more a guy who is dominant?
I do like a dominant guy, but not an overly alpha guy where he has to prove something in the bedroom.
Oh no, that's insecurity. But like, for example, like you could tell from the beginning whether a guy is going to be dominant or submissive. And everybody, you know, these words are used, but people immediately go to the extreme. And that's not what they're not extreme. So like, for example, if I were to see you, right? And we were talking, I wanted to take you out. I would say, you know, why don't you give me a number and we'll go out sometime, which right away says that right away, I'm stamping my masculinity by asking for your number and I'm going to take you out.
Yeah. Yeah. Then, you're assertive enough to do it. Yeah.
Right. And then I ask you, what are you doing Saturday night? You want to go out? And then I make the reservations to the restaurant. I'll pick you up, you know, so on and so forth. I'm making all the plans and I take you out and I pay for everything. I immediately am stamping my masculinity and my dominance. And you, as a female, don't have a choice. If you choose to be in that relationship, you don't have a choice but to be submissive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if that's the kind of guy that you like, odds are that guy is not going to be into him being degraded in the bedroom.
Exactly. No, for sure.
So
definitely.
how do you balance that? Because and here's the thing, I see more girls dating and getting into a relationship with submissive guys than I do with dominant guys. I see it all the time. Girls, when they tend to get into serious relationships, punch down, not the guys that are, because they generally speaking, women are into the idea of I don't want you to go anywhere. So the guy that has less choices, but sexually, the girls are usually sexually charged by the guy that has plenty of choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I proved that by saying, I'll say it with you. Who's your favorite actor? What actor do you like watching on the big screen?
What actor do I like watching?
Yeah, like who do you enjoy watching on, when you go to the movies or you go on TV or whatever?
I think is cute is like Chris Pratt.
Okay,
Like I know
perfect
that.
example.
I mean,
Chris Pratt's the
but that's
superhero
because
dude, right?
yeah, he's cute and he's got a good sense of humor. That's
Okay,
I like
right.
that kind of character. Yeah,
But a lot of girls would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, they would go with The Rock.
of course.
They would go with Vin Diesel. They would
Yeah,
go. Jason Momoa is a big one. All the girls love Jason Momoa.
exactly.
Then you get into the suave kind of guys like Bradley Cooper and
Yeah, I
so
like
on.
sense of humor. I think
Okay.
because see that's the thing about being in fitness and being in
So then
porn for so long.
right.
I'm kind of like it.
Yeah.
I've done it all, and I've kind of been
And then
with so many types of
yeah.
people.
And
So for me, I'm like,
and the best-selling novel 10 years ago in the country was 50 Shades of Grey.
was it really the best?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
See,
Right. I think it was
yeah.
10, whenever the book came out, 10, 15 years ago, it was the best-selling novel in the country. So what I'm saying is
Yeah.
girls are sexually charged by a man who leads and is dominant and is more alpha, but they choose to be in a relationship with the guy who is submissive.
Because it's easier too.
It is very much
Right.
easier. And when you dominate somebody early on, it's fulfilling. But generally speaking, when I see this, I see the girls tend to lose respect for those kind of guys. The guys that they can walk all over, and the guys that will do jump when I say jump. They tend to lose respect for those guys. So now in your private life, if you are attracted to a guy that likes that is more dominant, right? And is more of a leader, and you go out with him, but what sexually turns you on is being the dominant one in bed. How do you balance that?
Well, okay. Dating a guy that's a leader in real life. I mean, that's kind of a vague kind of statement, right?
Yeah,
because
I agree.
somebody could have a real prominent role, maybe not be a big guy, be a small guy, but have a big job, make good money.
Well, no. Yeah, we're talking personality, really, right?
Okay, like dominant, like take control, leadership.
Yeah, like what I described.
I like to be secure. Like I'll say that in my real life, I like to feel secure and safe in a relationship. I like to know that I'm safe. So yeah, that would put in the alpha dominance. But I mean, I think as long as he's open in the bedroom, maybe not to be extreme submissive, but to like maybe play a little bit or let me sit on his face, right? We could compromise. So there's ways because you have to, I can do it for work. I do it in work. I do webcam. So there are ways fortunately I can, I hate to say I'm like a freaky, kinky person or whatever, but yeah, I mean, there are totally ways I can get whatever kind of weird, kink I need to get off, especially through webcam and all that good stuff.
Yeah. That's actually really good.
If he's not going to let me, stick my armpit in his face and whatnot.
Yeah. No, but that's good. Like if you get a guy that understands what you do for a living, or it might even just be more of a light relationship, but he is more of a leader. See, in your case, you can get your kicks off in your work.
I hate to say that, right? Because people don't hate me.
It's the truth.
A lot. Yeah. I mean, but even more so, if that's what gets me off is being like dominant and it really, being a power and control. And I'm able to do that even on camp, I mean, that does. I mean, yeah. Why? Maybe that's why I walk around smiling and
it could be. No,
because I enjoy my work,
okay. Okay, so we covered what you love. So now what is it that you what is it that's borderline? Like you'll do it, but you really don't like it too much. And then we'll get to what you absolutely won't do.
I don't know what I just don't like.
Something that you're like, okay, something I like, okay, I'll do it. But you're kind of doing it for the money, or you're doing it because whatever the case may be. And you're just like, all right, I'll do it, but I'm not crazy about it.
Oh, you know what? Now I will say it wrestling. Like
okay.
competitive wrestling. I know,
Oh.
right? Spin on that one because I've wrestled. I've done like competitive sex wrestling for forever. But yeah, the wrestling is one of the ones I don't care for it at all. I always get sick. I don't know if I have this motion sickness. I still think that there's something going on because I have strength and I have decent endurance, but so wrestling, like the more competitive wrestling is one that I'll dread.
All right, we're definitely gonna get into the wrestling because that's interesting. Because I never interviewed anybody who did competitive adult entertainment wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, now give me what you absolutely will not do, like where you draw the line and you go, "Fuck you." There's no way I'm doing that.
Fuck you. I draw the line. I'm not doing it. Probably like the extreme bondage, like the stuff where I have like this claustrophobia. So I think if I'm too extreme bond, like I think I would like freak the fuck out if I was just too.
What constitutes extreme bondage?
Like kink.com used to have these extreme, and I don't mean just I'm tied, because I do that stuff all the time where I'm just tied up and for 20 minutes. I'm like, you're like really extreme to like these big devices for like 45 minutes to an hour. And they're just like going hard at you with like vibrators and dildos and like, it's like extreme
Jesus, sounds bondage. Like ancient Japanese torture.
I know. It's like, I'm like, but no. So like that kind of like kinky stuff, I just will never.
Yeah,
I'll never even try to do as an adult. See, as an adult performer, though, you kind of like to push your limits, push your boundaries. Like, and that's just one I just was like, no, I'll never even attempt, because I think I was offered, but I was like, no.
Yeah. What's funny is I interviewed Alicia Young and I interviewed Nikki Jackson, and they gave me the same answer for the most part when I asked them that. And their answer was farting. They were like, I can't, people want me to fart on them and they were like, I can't do that. Like,
I've done farting. I've done a lot of farting. I've done a lot of farting. I have one clip that I did probably 6-7 years ago. That's on my clips for sale. That still sells really good to this day. And it was a really well paid, and it was a farting clip, and it came out really well. It wasn't real flatulence. I know the little secrets of the entertainment business.
So you're like at a fart thing in your hand or something like that? Really?
Well, not a fart thing. No, if you can even do an app and do a little fart. I've done videos like that. It just looks bad. But no, you take a little, what are they? The little baby nose cleaners. Okay. And you just pump air into your ass and you just,
it's just air.
It's air, but you can get some good.
Farts.
Now you got short. You got short little clips, right? So you got to do a lot of it. But you could do. I know girls who make a lot of money with their farting. What about the girl? What about the OnlyFans girl who made all the money with putting her farts in the things and selling them? Are you kidding?
Yeah. How does it stay? I don't know.
I don't know.
Look,
but there's money there, yeah. But hey, respect everybody's boundaries.
The person that likes to smell farts should do what I do for a living. I work in the sewer, so if that really is what you like, I mean, it's just
you're in the wrong occupation.
Yeah, I tell you, man. I guess I'm boring in bed because I just like my fetishes are. I wouldn't even consider them fetishes anymore. Holy shit! Like I like big tits. I think I guess that's boring now.
No, it's actually not. No, that's one of the universal.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Okay. Wrestling.
Okay.
Now, when you say you do actual competitive wrestling, it's an actual wrestling match with another girl or a dude?
Well, both. So kink.com used to have Evolved or Ultimate Surrender. That's when I started. That 6, 7, 8 years ago was when. So there's a producer. She's also an adult entertainer named Ariel X. She's like a jiu-jitsu black belt, right? So a lot of these people are actual real athletes, but she's got this site called Ultimate Surrender, and it's competitive, real competitive wrestling. It started with just girl, and then I think she branched off to integrate guy-girl. But yeah, I've done a lot of the girl, a little bit of the boy-girl competitive wrestling. But like I say, I hate I've only, I've only wrestled a few guys that were submissive that I beat, but the other ones, ended up beating me. Yeah. So I'm not a great wrestler, So.
Now, is it like wrestling with, do you actually take classes and how to wrestle, like jujitsu or something, or you just get in there and just fucking tackle each other?
Well, that depends. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was pretty surprised when I started back, like in the day, wrestling for her, because I was surprised at how many like legit porn stars were legit like black belts and like wrestlers and like athletes.
Yeah, right.
So like I was going against girls that were skinny and they're like, oh, this is so and so. She looks like she's just a cute girl next door. But yeah, she's done jujitsu for like since she was a kid. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, so like I got put up against like really athletically, and I was never a good wrestler. That's just one sport. I did a little bit of training. I have a few techniques, but like I said, I was more of like a kickboxer. My stomach just gets all kind of woozy. So I'm like, I just kind of hang in there. Yeah. I just kind of hang on to like.
All right. So here's actually a fun question. Tell me about a time that was, you were in work, obviously, that was the most embarrassing thing that happened. It was just not planned. Something went crazy or whatever the case may be. It was total embarrassment, just a disaster.
Well, I don't know. I kind of have a story.
Okay.
That is disaster from like a very much an adult entertainer perspective. But I was shooting with this one female. And let me just put it this way, and I'm sorry to give like this gross kind of story, but like when you say disaster, it like imagine being a guy in the situation. It would be this. It's like you're going down on a girl, and like you got fingers and stuff going in, and then like just nasty stuff's coming out.
So you're talking like shit, or you having your period?
No, not on me. The other girl I was with. So that's my disaster moment. I was in the middle of a scene filming and, we're tested, we're clean, but I'm going down on this girl, stuff. And then, you start putting fingers in and then stuff, not period, but like just gross cream and discharge. And I'm supposed to like go down and, I'm just like, I say disaster because I was literally never in my life. I just was like almost dry heaving. Yeah. And I like had to keep it together. And,
I wouldn't be able to do it either.
That and another time when I was pegging a newer guy in the industry, and then there was just shit literally all over set. So those two were probably disasters where I was just
Can you do it? That's hysterical.
Had to be a professional.
Was it diarrhea or was just like a log popped out?
He didn't know how to clean himself. He I guess he was new to the industry. He didn't clean himself out. I was newer too as a producer, and I didn't like verify and validate whatever, that he had cleaned himself out but yeah, so shit.
When you say clean themselves out, so if what I'm correct me if I'm wrong, when you're going to do an anal scene, you have to make sure that you poop a lot in order to do the scene and no crap comes out.
Yes.
And he didn't do that.
That's correct. Exactly.
Okay. What an amateur. Yeah. I tell you, man.
What exactly?
Kind of people do you work with?
That's what that's when I learned. Hey, professionals only.
Wow. Well, that is, I'm opening Pandora's box here. It's amazing.
Disasters.
All right. Okay. I'm going to ask you two questions. They're basic. Then we'll cut it off because we've been doing it for a while now, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's over an hour. And then we'll plug your OnlyFans and Instagram, and that's it. So two basic questions I think everybody kind of likes to know about adult entertainers. How big was the largest guy you've been with in performing, not in your private life?
Gotcha. I would have to say at least a good eight minimum, if not a little bit bigger. I can't say like how exactly big, but at least 8, if not like 9. Okay. I haven't been with like, 14-inch monster cock guy. So no, but like, let's be real, at least 9, 8 or 9 easy with the few probably of the male performers I've been with.
Okay. And is that more enjoyable for you? Are you a size queen or you prefer no?
I'm not a size queen at all.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. And
not that big. No, I don't think it's not necessary. I mean, but
yeah.
It's fun.
All right. And the other question is, because I asked Nikki Jackson this question because she has huge boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, giant boobs. How many breast augmentations have you been through, and what size are you?
Oh, good question. Okay, this is going to shock people. So I actually just did this in April. I just got them done, and this was only my third.
Only your third. Okay.
Yes, I know. I know because I've heard the stories. Trust me, I know. But like every other year.
Oh, okay. See, you got to understand that I live an average normal life. So
okay. Yeah, I like it.
Right. So my wife had one breast augmentation, and that's normal in middle class world. But and you get to your world, and it's like, nah, that ain't shit.
It's like every other year.
Yeah.
It's,
okay.
a new set. So no. So for me, I know. So for me, like 3 is like unheard of.
Okay.
Unheard of. But the bodybuilding was a big, huge element. When you're, I mean, I just couldn't justify going back every time. But this particular time, they did they did a few things. So I do have to be a little bit more mindful, and I am. When you spend money, you're at this age, you're like, oh, I'm gonna take care of them. But that's just me. Unfortunately, yeah, I don't like to spend my money on. I do enough, but I can't. Not every year and couple years. I've heard the stories, but yeah, this is just my third, surprisingly.
And what size did you go up to?
I am actually no, I'm the same size. I didn't really go up any bigger. I just kind of went in and had some adjustments, pushed them a little bit forward. But I'm a double D, I think.
Okay.
Still,
okay.
yeah. Still, I like functionality.
Yeah,
I got it. I think if I was too big, I contemplated it. I was like my claustrophobia.
Okay.
Because I have short arms and I was like, oh, I better not. I'm an overthinker.
Did you? Yeah. No, listen. You got to be comfortable in your own body,
For sure, exactly.
And that's the realization of it. Like, I was always a boob guy too. So when my wife got her boobs, she goes, I'm not going past the double D.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm thinking, but then I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, we get older. No, it's true. We're getting, as women, we're getting older. We're carrying this around. We have to be practical.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so that'll be that. Did you have any other plastic surgeries done, anything like that, or that was it?
What surprisingly, I have had liposuction done on the 2 times I've had augmentation, I've had liposuction done around my waist. And then when I was young, around my 18th birthday, I had my first set done. And I actually had fat sucked out of my ass when I was really young because of my Hooters food, remember? So I turned 18, and I was eating, and then
well, now it's very muscular, so you actually have a butt.
Yeah, well now, it's completely different ass than back then. But but that's really it. But in foreign like cosmetic world, my procedures are like, less than 60 grand. That's nothing. It's like But I weight lift, so I just chalk it up to weight lift.
That it helped. A lot of people don't realize it helps a lot. Even me, it really does. I was talking to a friend of mine at work today, not at work, I'm sorry, in the gym. And I told him I was 46. He's like, wow, you don't look 46. And I was like, thank you. That means a lot,
Yeah.
But, most guys my age, and girls your age, they're at that point, they're kind of all out of shape and so on and so forth. Yeah.
It's hard to get, but if you've maintained it, your whole, and that's where I'm at now. I can't, I don't go as hard as I did, obviously, 10 years ago, but I do enough to maintain. And, that's where you stay, you just, enjoy.
So where can people find you at? I know you have an OnlyFans and you have an Instagram. So why don't you give those a plug?
Sure.
And anything else you want to plug too, by the way.
Sure. Well, my Instagram is whatever_Brandi Mae.
And that's
And my
spelled BRANDIMAE.
Mae.
Okay, got it.
That's right. Yeah. And then my OnlyFans, of course, which is, great, tons of content, camming, is what OnlyFans/sexy buff babe.
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah. And my Twitter was just deactivated. So
that's happened a lot on Twitter. It's like I
think with their transitions and all the crazy stuff, and
it's happening a lot on Twitter.
They gave me a runaround about my banner because I was pretty assertive with them about because I didn't break the rules, but whatever. So yeah, Instagram and stuff for now. And
on the thumbnail on YouTube, I can't put anything too sexy, so I have to actually put like a picture like you look now in order for them to verify it, because you put something too sexy, they take it down immediately.
You can't put anything too sexy anywhere anymore.
It's unbelievable.
Don't risk it.
Unless you go to Rumble. Rumble is, from what I understand, everybody who's getting banned is coming over to Rumble.
I've heard of it. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Me too. Because the last one I heard is Russell Brand, the British comedian. He got censored on YouTube, and he immediately went to Rumble.
Follow him on Instagram. Yeah, I think.
He's hilarious.
He's one of the first, I think. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, and of course, everybody knows Andrew Tate went to Rumble, right? He got canceled across the board, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Did you even know who he is? Did you ever hear of that?
No, I don't think so.
Generally, Andrew Tate, it's actually really interesting. Andrew Tate is he's from the States, but he lives in Romania now, and he's a 3-time world champion kickboxer. And he's a self-made millionaire, and he came from him and his brothers, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, and they actually did a camming service before OnlyFans. So they started this camming service, and they made a lot of money, and they did it in Romania, and then they actually invested their money in casinos, and they have another business called Hustlers University, where you could join, and he teaches you how to become, an entrepreneur and so on and so forth and blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
The guy's worth like 250 million. But anyway.
Oh, wow.
So he goes on YouTube and he starts screaming about basically how women are not traditional anymore, that guys have to be totally different now. Like you can't be passive. You can't be a feminine type guy. The girls are going to take advantage of you, and he's really talking well about guys. It's really more of like, hey, listen, go after what you want, because life is not easy. You can't just sit there and complain. And I mean, don't get me wrong, he's obnoxious and over the top, and he's made some crazy things, he's made some crazy statements, but there's a difference between what he truly believes and what was like a joke. Do you know what I mean? And he said,
or taken out of context.
Taken out of context a lot. And there was but the thing was, he was establishing a huge male following. I mean,
I think I remember hearing about that. I can't remember his name, but I think I remember hearing about that. Somebody was like a fighter or somebody who just kicked off for being overly masculine. I think
that's basic. Now listen, he is extremely arrogant. But the thing, when you actually listen to him, the things that he says is accurate, especially for guys, especially when he's talking to the guys, Yeah. Because there is a feminization of men, especially in the West. It is 100%. It really is. There's just there's no question about it. It really is. It's just it's fucking horrible. So and he just got across the board. I mean, from Instagram to Twitter to YouTube to what is the new one? Mecca. I forgot the other one. Meta. Yeah, Metaverse. Sorry, that one.
Oh yeah.
And even from what I understand, even like his banking, so on. And then so then he immediately went over to Rumble, and this was how popular it was. And he had well over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. On Rumble, his first day at a live video on Rumble, he had 70,000 viewers.
Wow.
Yeah. So so obviously he's
people like it. Yeah.
Guys are actually like, okay, listen, I'm tired of, working 9 to 5 and not making money. I need to do something with myself, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, and he's went on a couple of interviews since he's got banned. I mean, and he's done, you know, he defends himself great, but I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, that's hearsay.
No,
okay.
I know it's we all know what.
Yeah,
it's getting crazy and it's
yeah.
getting worse. Yeah.
So so OnlyFans, Sexy Buff Babe, Instagram, whatever _ Brandi Mae, BRANDIME. Both of those will be in the description area in YouTube. So it'll be just a click away.
Awesome.
And I can't thank you enough for doing this. Really.
Well, thank you again for inviting me. No, it was fun. I genuinely had a great time chatting and stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Give me 1 second. We're just going to close it off and then we will talk for a minute right after. So